Housing should be a human right, and we should be creating more protections for tenants rather than stripping them.
And now a controversial landlord-tenant bill could become law. It's one some fear could lead to an increase in evictions in our area. Governor Holcomb vetoed the bill back in March, but today the Indiana Senate voted to override that veto. WRTV's Megan Sanctorum explains what this action at the State House could mean for you and why so many are opposed to it.
Bundled up and braving below freezing temperatures this morning, several dozen people stood outside of the State House, sharing their concerns with Senate Enrolled Act 148.
This law, if the veto is overturned, basically is going to deprive tenants of the ability to have fair housing.
Those who support the bill say it would create predictability and certainty on landlord-tenant laws. It would in part prevent local governments from regulating landlord-tenant matters. Cities would not be able to implement more restrictive guidelines when it comes to things like lease terms, fees, and renters' rights. Some fear this could lead to an increase in evictions, something that hits close to home for Harper Morgan.
I was given a week's notice to evacuate the premises. Basically, he chose a very small issue as his claim to evict me, and I had to live with friends and people's moms until I could get back on my feet.
She fears this bill could put more Hoosiers in that position.
A serious feeling of hopelessness and being naked almost, not having quite literally a roof to protect yourself, so you have to rely on other people.
Those who provide shelter for families facing eviction say the impact this bill would have on the 2 million Hoosiers who rent could be devastating.
And I've dealt with many, many moms who have kids with asthma, and their apartment has black mold, and they've lived with it, and they've lived with it, and they've called and called, and finally they call the health department, and then the landlord's like, okay, snitch, you're gone. And then they come to our shelter because they have nowhere else to go.
Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, WRTV.
If eventually passed by the Indiana House, the bill would nullify 2 ordinances the city of Indianapolis recently passed. Those ordinances require landlords to provide a rights and responsibilities notice for their tenants and appropriate $250,000 to help tenants with legal aid.